Kia ora e te iwi and welcome to The Chew. Coming at you from the Pūrākau studio in Te Atamira, Queenstown, New Zealand. Ko Arrowtown Dad tēnei, and today we are chewing the fat with Tracy Cameron from Ican Agency. Kia ora, Tracy.
Kia ora Corey.
So just to kick things off,
Yes.
can I get you to please introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about where you grew up?
Okay, so ko Tracy toku ingoa, no Ngāti Kahunungu oku Tipuna.
Oh, kia ora.
I'll stop there. I'm learning slowly, which I'm enjoying. But yeah, I'm from Rakiura, which I'm staunchly proud of. I grew up there and with a wonderful family, whānau, but also extended whānau.
Yep.
So cousins, aunties and uncles, all those wonderful humans.
Yeah.
And there was quite a tribe of us. And looking back, I realised not only was I fortunate to be on a beautiful island, but part of a small community with all the benefits that come with that.
Yeah.
But to have that love and support of your cousins, aunties and uncles, which was just part of my everyday life. But now I realise, now that the world's got bigger, really, and what I mean by that is we'll have our phone, and so we're in touch with anyone on any part of the world. So suddenly your community isn't what I had. You only knew about your neighbour and what you had right in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think that was huge and important because just having that united feeling, that family feeling, you knew everyone supported you and loved you without actually realising it.
Yeah.
You just had that safety there.
Fantastic.
And but apart from that, look, it was wonderful. The island upbringing, hunting, fishing, making huts, going out for walks. That's all. I would actually do a lot of walking as a kid, and I wish my kids would now put your phone down and go out and take a back lunch and walk and see your neighbourhood. But anyway, I think I find myself thinking more about my island upbringing, and now what my children have is their upbringing. And I wish they could have more of what I had, the simpleness.
Yeah.
The grassroots.
So, did you do lots of sort of nature-y type stuff? Did you go fishing and
we did. Yeah, family picnics. Because I said there was lots of aunties and uncles and cousins, so we did a lot of family things together.
Yeah. And
it was always great to just get away on the boat, or there was a convoy of boats.
Yeah.
And you'd pack up, your lunch and your dinner for the day. And my mother had scored this big, huge flag from a Navy ship when it was visiting there. So we must remember to take the flag because we all used to sit on it.
Yeah.
And we just, depending on the wind, depends on the beach that you pick.
Yeah.
And the joke was Dad always picked a rocky one because he hated all the sand being dragged back onto the boat. But we'd find a sandy one.
Right. Oh, you're
and
so
it was always
lucky.
Sheltered. And we'd all do lots of rowing back and forwards.
Yeah.
Taking everyone back and forwards to the boat. And your first job was to find kindling. So everyone had to scatter out into the bush, and so we had enough wood for the day and the night to cook and do everything on. And then everyone would just scatter again, and some would go for a swim or look for cockles or mussels or diving or just sunbathing.
So how many of you, like, when you grew up as a youngster, you had obviously a lot of family around you. Did you have a lot of cousins and that around your age as well? Or
That's right, yeah. I think, so I've got a twin sister actually.
Oh, yeah.
And so her and I are kind of, the family saying was precious number 1 and precious number 2. And then the next eldest was precious number 3 and so on and so on. Yeah. So I think our other family of cousins had 4 there, but they were all a bit younger. Yeah. But when you're all young, you don't do the math. You just all get on.
Yeah, you do.
There was another family. So maybe there was 4 different families.
Wow.
And they were all having kids about the same time.
Wow.
So I guess the age range between us all might have been 6 or 5 years, perhaps.
Well, it's pretty close.
It is, actually. Yeah. There was anher family who were a wee bit younger, but it doesn't matter.
That's fantastic.
Look, it was really, really special. And like I keep saying, once you become a mother, you keep reflecting back to what you had and what you're doing. Yeah. And I was pretty lucky. And the older I get, the more I love the island, the more I love going back for what it still offers, which I think is the simpleness. Yep. All the stress and everything drops away, and you can get caught up in things. And
absolutely,
it just all drops away, and I just enjoy being home. It's my home. No, it's very special.
So I feel terrible because in all the years that I've lived here, I've not yet been to Rakiura. I had one charter fishing boat trip that I went with the express sort of reason to go over and do some diving, and the boat conked out
really?
Like about 100 metres from shore.
No.
The shore was like right there.
Oh.
And so we got towed back to Bluff. So I never quite made it.
Jump in the dinghy and just row the rest?
Well, we went fishing and we had a bit of a dive.
Okay.
So I lie, actually. I did touch the island because I jumped in and went for a dive. So
nice.
And then to catch my breath, I kind of went over to the island and sort of held on. But it was only like 100 metres away is where the boat conked out. So it wasn't far away.
Well, don't read into it.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
No, look, you're one of many. It's a long queue who say that to me.
Yeah.
That, they've never been. They live in Invercargill or whatever, and they've never been.
Wow,
you just got to book it.
Yeah, you got to just do it, eh?
Yeah, just book it, then you're committed.
Yeah, you're committed.
And,
there's no excuse. You can't back out.
Look, well, even for me, it's like, I've got to go to the island. I've got something on. To pack, get the kids organised, and just to juggle the house and everything at my end to get to that end. But as soon as I'm on that boat crossing the strait, I don't want to leave. As soon as I get to the island, you don't want to leave.
I know. You're so, well, I mean, I say lucky now. So would you say that you grew up in a traditional Māori family?
Well, not at all. My mother, who is the Māori in our family, and I guess like the rest of her generation, were, if anything, encouraged not to.
Yeah.
And she might have only been one of 2 or 3 brown people on the island.
Right, really? Oh, there wasn't that many on the island. Wow.
Not that I recall.
Yeah.
And, so being a close-knit community, all you need is a little comment or something from someone, and it hurts all the more. I guess it's like from a family member. It's easy to say something horrible to our family member, and it hurts twice as much because you also love them. Yeah. So I guess there were things that might have happened or been said, maybe in jest, who knows, but it's just enough, I guess, to make you not speak or be or Māori.
So were you ever, like at school, so I'm assuming you did all your schooling on the island as well? Primary school?
Up to and including year 8, and then you will have to go to boarding school.
Right.
There was no te reo. I don't have any recollection of anyone looking at me differently or treating me differently.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, actually.
No,
great. That's fantastic.
Not at all.
It's a good time to grow up when kids don't behave like that, Yeah. It can be a bit different for some people.
And I guess you all grow up together, so I'm just one of the people there.
Yeah, right. Right.
No, there was never any of that. Maybe when I went to high school and maybe when subjects came up.
Yeah. So where'd you go to high school?
I went to Dunedin, St Hilda's Collegiate.
Oh, yeah.
Boarding school, which I loved.
Yeah.
It's like anything, though. It's what you make it.
Yeah.
And look, it was a great school.
Yeah. Was there any kind of culture shock going from the island to the city living, if you like?
No. And look, we travelled a lot.
Yep.
And I think we'd even been overseas to America.
Oh, cool.
The Pacific Islands a couple of times.
Oh,
so
well-travelled.
Our parents, prepared us.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah, great. And so, how did you end up deciding to settle in Queenstown?
Yeah. So from boarding school, and my last year there, I did like a what you might call, it was a modelling course and whatnot.
Yeah.
Deportment modelling course.
Yeah.
And then they asked me to work for them. So I actually worked at that agency in school and learnt to teach and also be an agent or a booker, book the models, basically help run the business.
Right.
And I did that for over 10 years. Went to London for 4 years, came back to the same agency and started up what we called the talent agency, and that was submitting people for film and TV. And it was whilst here they were filming Lord of the Rings, it just started.
Of course.
And that American one, the climbing one. Sorry.
Oh, the movie,
yes,
the Vertical Limits.
Yeah, Vertical Limit.
Yeah.
So that was the big one because they needed a lot of Sherpa type looking people, and they didn't have the population here then, so they were actually busing a heap from our agency in Dunedin to supplement, the brief, the numbers, whatever. And from that, my head was turned to here.
Right.
And at the same time, it was time to just start up something of my own.
Yeah.
So I just came here, really. I thought, well, I had nothing to lose.
A wing and a prayer.
Yeah, it felt right. And, Queenstown, who doesn't want to come to Queenstown?
Yeah.
But I came here because it seemed that's where the industry was.
Right.
And I'd learnt so much.
Yeah.
It was natural and organic for me to come here and do that and give it a go. And
Great.
I couldn't be any worse off than
No.
working. I was ready to stop working for someone else.
Okay.
Put it
Okay.
that way.
So you're 4 years overseas in the
Yes.
UK, did you say?
Yeah, that was
And so what did you...
lots of fun.
Yeah?
It was great. I was there to travel,
Yeah, right.
see the world.
That was the OE
Yeah.
sort of part of life?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I highly recommend it to anyone and everyone young. I kind of left it late, actually. I was 24. I felt like a lot of my friends had been and gone, and they were coming back and getting
Yeah.
married and kids already.
Yeah.
But I left it a bit later. But the thing about that is I was more mature. Not that they weren't. I'm just saying that for me, I was obviously immature up to that point. I was ready to go, and I had a little bit of money, and I just really wanted to stay and make the most of it and travel.
Cool. Yeah.
I didn't want to just do the
regular
Munich
old
Beer
stuff.
Fest in Morocco and
Yeah.
running of the bulls. I just really wanted to dive deep and see as many countries as possible.
Cool.
So London's a great stepping stone.
And,
Doormat.
and did you do anything within the industry itself? Like
No. Well, I joined a model agency,
Yeah.
but I didn't do any work. But no, I was working for a lady who worked for the Royal College of Music. So I was kind of a gopher for her, PA. She also had a daughter that I helped with. I lived in her beautiful apartment in Victoria. And it allowed me to take 6 months off or 4 months off or whatever at one time and just go and see whatever continent of the year I wanted to see, as well as trips in between. So it gave me a lot of flexibility.
Cool.
And I also learnt to touch type. So I learned how to turn a computer on and actually do something with it. So which is quite important.
Yeah, I mean, touch typing's important. Like
It is.
I'm an IT guy, so I find that if I wasn't able to touch type,
Yeah, it's
your work would take so much longer.
so to every parent out there, get your kids to learn to touch type.
Touch type, yeah.
And I forget the name of the program that I get my kids to learn from, but I know it has a talking goat. So just talking goat, touch typing, it'll come up. Something like doormat, which is a funny name.
No idea.
But it definitely helps in business.
Yeah.
You just go to your sent folder and you see all the work you've done, which there's no way you could have achieved that
No.
with two thumbs. And
No. And of
finger.
course, not a lot of people know this about typing, but some people say I can type really, really fast with my two fingers.
Yeah.
But I remember someone telling me, but the difference with touch typing is you don't have to look down at the keyboard.
Yeah.
You can like read and type at the same time because you're touch typing. Whereas
right.
the two finger person always has to look down. So you lose the ability to read and type at the same time. It's a big thing. You know?
Then they think they're going fast, but they're really not achieving what they could if they used all 10 fingers.
Exactly.
They're two index pointy fingers might be going fast, but they're not really achieving much.
Right. So,
Anyway,
now,
London was. But I think about the thing about going overseas though was it gave me a lot of confidence.
did you go by yourself?
I did,
Yeah.
and I travelled often by myself.
Right. No fears?
No, I think that was coming from Stewart Island as well.
Yeah.
I think. And you just have to be logical and practical and not do stupid things.
Yeah.
And as silly as it sounds, I say to my kids, look, if you ever get lost, stop and ask for directions. Don't try and work it out. Stop, ask the locals.
Yeah.
So I was always asking people, look, where do I go for this? Am I correct? Whatever.
Yeah.
And keep checking because that person might have had it wrong.
Yeah.
So it's simple as that, really. But also you meet a lot of like-minded people doing the same route as you.
Yeah, right.
And it's probably going to be an Aussie or a South African or a Kiwi or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're all in the same boat, and
Yeah.
you just make friends for life.
Yeah.
And it's amazing seeing all these different countries.
Yeah, cool.
So it definitely prepares you to take 2 steps forward, I think, and just meeting and interacting and networking with people. You're not afraid to do that.
Yeah.
So that's another important skill.
Yes,
life
of course.
Skill.
And so bringing it back to your business, so I understand your business is fairly well known in this region, especially. So the Ican agency, is that the name of the business, or is it the model? Ican
So
modelling.
when I first got here, came back from London, started up the talent agency, sending busloads of people over for Vertical Limit and Lord of the Rings. Okay, I'm going to go to Queenstown, start up my own thing. And the agency in Dunedin that I worked for, Vanity Walk, they were a model agency. So I was tutoring the modelling course and deportment course as well as running the agency. So it was all about modelling. We hadn't expanded into the talent agency side of things, TV and film,
Right.
until those last few years.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I guess, was still model agency. So when I first got here, I called it the Ican Model Agency.
Right.
But that doesn't really tell people what I do.
The talent aspect of it as well.
The actors, the extras, and the talent. The talent
Right.
being your high-end sport athletes,
Right.
musical, talented, gifted people, dancers. You have a talent.
Right.
So I did call it the Ican Model Agency, and then sometimes I go Ican Queenstown, and then I think I should call it Ican Humans, but that sounds a bit weird. So it's important to say what your business is.
Absolutely.
And so none of that does it, or it restricts it.
Yeah,
so I
sure,
keep thinking I need to maybe rebrand, and that's as far as my thinking gets, and I tap out and carry on with the day.
Well, of course, because if you try to explain it, the thing's going to be like 100
it's too
words long.
I stood up once. I got nervous once. We had to stand up and introduce ourselves. And I just stood up and blew it and went, "Hi, I'm the Ican talent model." And yeah, no one cared. Silly. But anyway.
Ican Humans. Love it.
Really?
Yeah, because people will go, well, that's different.
Well,
you know.
actually, I actually quite like Ican Team.
Yeah.
And in team is the talent, the extras, the actors, the models.
There you go.
So I could go down that route, but it
Yes.
still doesn't say
No.
what the team is.
True. And there's no I in team.
That's right. I and I can.
Yes.
So, and I'm part of the Actors Agent Association, which is wonderful because then I get to listen in every month to all the agencies in New Zealand,
Right.
and listen to how the big fish do things. And
Right.
we've kind of all got the same little problems, but I actually just sit there and listen and learn, and I learn a lot. It's great hearing from these people who have been in the business for years and years and years in Auckland. They're all, as I call them, the big fish.
Yeah. So what do they do? Like, do they just talk about current experiences or
the industry? And we just talk about look. We need to. Do you think we should discuss this? Do you think we should discuss that?
Really?
Maybe it might be about new contract clauses, new rates. Someone might have an actor on something and they're having a wee issue. Does anyone else have any advice? That sort of thing.
Fantastic.
It is. And the reason I brought that up was because all the words I'd like to use, they've taken. So I would feel like I was...
Right. You'd be stealing some of that.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, it's Ican Queenstown for now.
Yeah.
Or else it's a very long sentence.
Nothing wrong with Ican Queenstown.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll be honest, the Ican name itself is a brand here. It's really obvious when someone says Ican, it associates to you directly.
Oh,
That's
nice.
how everyone knows who you are through that. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Don't you feel that?
No, I wouldn't know. I'm not in that room with that conversation. So you never know. You're too busy head down just trying to survive and answer emails and do all the admin and get people on set, whatever.
Yeah.
To sit around wondering about conversations out there. But that's great to know. But then you're also very polite and you might say that.
No, it's true. It's true. Because for me, and I don't know anything about the industry. This is my own personal experience. So, like, I've done advertisements and I've been an extra and stuff like that. So I don't really know how the thing works. But from my experience and the people that I talk to, there's Tracy and there's Tracy.
Yeah.
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 That's it. It's Tracy Ican and Tracy Monarch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a third also.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Who's the third one?
Janie. They've just rebranded to In Touch. They did take over from Sunny Sky.
Oh, yeah.
Sky.
Sunny. I used to be with Sunny as well. Yeah, that's right. I do recall that now. Yeah.
So they were Exposure, and now Janie took it over, and now she's rebranded.
Oh, fantastic.
So there's three of us.
So I just want to tap into something a little bit here because I like a little bit of gossip and a little bit of interesting kōrero that you've probably come across. So you've obviously rubbed shoulders with some people, stars, if you like, Hollywood, etc. Any interesting experiences or good or bad? I mean, you're probably not going to say any bad experiences, so we'll leave that. We'll shelve that for now. But any good experiences with? Well,
it's always exciting when it's a who in the room.
Yeah.
And The agent, however, is generally not on set. You're not allowed on set. Set's
Right.
always closed. If you're
Right.
there, you've got a job, and the last thing they want is an agent hovering around,
Right.
potentially poaching other people's talent,
Yes.
or just getting in the way, or while you're here, you've done your part.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm only there if I'm employed as a featured extra or whatever.
Right.
So, of course, the most exciting job here was when Tom Cruise came for Mission Impossible 6.
Right.
And we were all up the Reese Valley from 5 a.m. or whatever. I was actually there as a chaperone, helping to look after the children, which is one of the perkiest jobs because the parents come. So I wasn't really having to do much, but it gets you in the tent, gets you on set.
Right.
And you don't want to be an extra because they're in wardrobe, which basically meant a very thin cotton linen top, and it was the end of May. It was freezing cold.
Oh, yeah.
You're there from 5 a.m.
Yeah.
standing on set waiting for the word action, and there's 100 different things delaying the shot and whatnot. And we're all there. What got us there though is not necessarily the money, but the fact that we might see Tom Cruise.
Yes, of course.
And it was the third day, and I don't think I'd seen him yet. I was going to be livid if I hadn't spotted him. And I think they all. The objective is to all dress the same, although it was winter, so everyone will be in jeans and a puffer jacket.
Yeah.
But you had to really look because they do all look the same.
Yeah, right.
And then when you actually do see them, you might go, is that it? Because you only see the glossy.
Of course, you built up this picture in your
That's
head.
right.
Yeah,
And-
right.
Yeah, but it's still exciting, and it's vital that after spending so many days on set, you can say, yes, I saw him, because it would be traumatic if you did all that work and the first thing people will say is, did you meet him?
Yeah, did you meet him?
And no, I didn't get to meet him. I would have had to,
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't.
Of course, you can't just go up to them and introduce
as much
yourself.
As you want to.
Yeah.
But I do remember him flying in on his helicopter at like 11 a.m. The sun was up. We'd all been freezing since 5 a.m. or whatever it was. And he and the crew come off the helicopter. And I don't know, there was maybe 20 metres between myself and him. And it did go through my head about leaping over the schist wall. But of course I never would. That would be public humiliation on such a grand scale. And I'm the agent, so I have to behave.
Yeah, of course.
And he kind of has this wave, which to me I read as it's kind of a nice wave, but it's also the stop signal.
Oh, right.
So it's kind of like, I see you, I'm acknowledging, and don't move. Don't jump that fence.
Yeah. That's good. Well, he's obviously used to it. He's used to coming across all manner of nutters. So
I just would have been another one, but no. No, look, it was fantastic. I often say, look, thank you, in my mind.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom Cruise, for coming and bringing so much business to the area.
Great. And so I'm going to keep tapping into that because I'm just so interested in this whole fame thing. Not personally interested. I'm just like I like
that's
the
what keeps
interesting
it going.
gossip
That's
stuff.
why extras.
Yeah.
Like they just had the
that's what we
Jason
do.
Momoa movie in Auckland.
Yeah,
we had
yeah.
people on that, and you don't get paid a lot.
No.
I was you get fed well.
Yeah.
That's why I will be an extra, because the food's phenomenal and the money's just the cherry on the cake.
Yeah.
But also if Jason Momoa is going to be there. So that really is
lifts
the hook.
that whole.
That lifts the hook. Yeah, it is the hook.
So within your industry and what you do within your business, what are the most challenging things that you have to deal with?
What I find quite challenging is keeping on top of the database. I would love every profile on my website to be current, and no matter how you plead and ask, no matter how many times, it's really hard to get everyone motivated, because not everyone gets work. Some people may have been with me for years, and I understand that they may not see why they should bother taking 5 minutes to update the photo. But if I had an updated photo, I could.
You got a better chance.
Yeah, that's right. So I find that challenging. Look, it's always a juggle. Being because I'm self-employed, so there's family, and I want to have balance. I mean, here I'm dressed like this because I've come straight from yoga, but that's important to me.
Yeah, work-life balance, absolutely.
So and my PAYE is late, and I'm just constantly prioritising. But yeah, I have noticed that me time has become more of a priority. Yeah, and I think as I get older, my line is, I know the last 3 minutes of my breath won't be, gee, I wish I worked more. It will be memories of doing things with friends and family and keeping fit and healthy so that I can do this for longer. Yeah,
for as long as you can,
And I love it. So challenging is the juggle, especially while you have children. I think when the children leave, I'm going to have so much time, I'll have no excuse. Or maybe I'll fill it up with other things, I guess.
Yeah, of course you will. Yeah, we always do. I think that's the Queenstown type mentality, is people keep themselves busy. I very rarely will I meet anyone in Queenstown that isn't up to their ears in projects and interesting things to do. Yeah. So this may or may not be relevant to you, but I'll ask the question anyway. So has being Māori influenced your business or your approach to how you do your business at all?
Well, it hasn't, and but also, like I said, I was brought up on Stewart Island. So there weren't many, if any, Māori there, and then St Hilda's, which is again the same thing again.
Yeah,
and it was never part of my world, I guess. We didn't sing, we didn't speak te reo. So it was
didn't sing.
No, there was no kapahaka at the high school.
Wow.
And no, I never did. And so therefore, I guess I thought I didn't need to.
Yeah, of course.
And then I got my job, and I've always worked hard. I think my Stewart Island upbringing and my parents have installed good ethics and morals, and get the job done, do more than what's asked of you, all of that.
Yep.
Which I think is key to why I'm here. So that's just if there's any kids listening, it pays off. You don't have to be the smartest in the class.
Yes.
Be reliable and consistent.
Yes. Have good work ethic.
Yes, it makes a difference because you'll be one of a few that stand out.
Yeah.
So then I came here. Still, it wasn't necessary within my world.
Yeah, right.
And but my joke again was people would say, "Look, you're part Māori. How much?" I'm like, "Oh, well, enough to get a tan and a scholarship," which I never applied for. But
you should do it. Totally do it.
But I have to be honest that I guess I also never went there because not only because it wasn't necessary at the time I thought, because I thought I was doing okay. But maybe there was a part like, oh, that would be embarrassing. And why did I think that? Probably I blamed the media, because the only time you would ever hear in my world about Māori people, it was something that was frontline protesters, it was the poverty,
negative.
It was always negative, and that wasn't my case. I was hardworking and whatnot, but I never joined the two.
Yeah, right.
But I guess maybe subconsciously it was like, when people join the dance, Tracy, she works and she's Māori, was like, I'm that statistic. I work hard, and I'm sure there's plenty of other Māori out there who work hard. Maybe you just don't hear of them.
You don't, because it's easier. Like you say, the media. It's far easier to point the spotlight on the things that trigger the majority, which is beating up on Māori as always. And then that becomes a narrative, and then you've got to have a bigger story than the last story, and it's news. People don't want to hear the good news, I guess. But that's definitely all changing. Yeah. And but then I had children, and I would have loved my children to be more into kapahaka. Yep. But I guess when they've got a mum who doesn't know anything, that doesn't help. So they have dabbled. Yeah. And my daughter, I'm really proud to say, she's learning te reo Māori. Oh, nice. At high school. Nice. And that's what also encouraged me to have the wonderful Emily start te reo classes. Oh, fantastic. I didn't know what else there was happening here, which is why I did it. Yeah. But also, there's no exams. I knew I would fail on that point. And it was just, I would learn because it was a relaxed, easygoing safe space. Lesson. Yeah. And my husband has the bus stop cafe, so there was a space. Yep. It's affordable, and children are free of charge. Yeah. So it's all about getting the children in and teaching them. Yep. And then that's how it starts, really. It is. Yeah. And then the parents follow. So I've been teaching at SIT off and on for the last few years, and what I notice is, like, one thing we ask people when they first come into class is, what made you come here to learn te reo Māori? And it's always interesting to me that so many adult learners come in and they'll say things like, oh, my daughter comes home from school and she's saying these words and she's singing these songs and I've got no idea what she's saying, so, I thought I'd better come along and learn a bit, and it's such a nonchalant attitude. It's just like there's this thing that's happening and I feel like I'm left out, so I'm coming along to be a part of it, So
it's still a big decision to do that.
It's a huge decision. Yeah.
Are they Māori or are they Caucasian?
Both.
Right, that's
Both.
really good.
The majority who say that are typically non-Māori.
Right.
Yeah, because they're just like, my daughter's been learning these Maori songs at school, and she keeps talking to me in Maori, and I don't know what she's saying, but they, it's not coming from. It's maybe an inkling coming from an ignorance realm, but they're being fully open-hearted about the whole thing about what it is. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just feel like I need to sort of keep up with her. So I'm going to come along and learn this thing. So it's not like a spiritual awakening type thing. It starts off as hey, I've got this thing happening at home. I might come along and learn it. So
nice. That's good.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. It's and what I find is eventually their thinking shifts into more that. No, I'm not going to say spiritual, but they get the more cultural lens to it. It becomes less about those words, like learning what those words are, and then it becomes more
where
of
the words came from. That's what I've enjoyed.
Yeah,
that's kind of opened up my mind. Is not just learning how to say cat, dog, whatever, but where the words came from.
Where they come from.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I've really surprised myself how I've really enjoyed it way more. It's not a chore.
Yeah.
And all the other facets of the language is really beautiful.
Fantastic.
And to hear me speak like that.
Yes.
You knew me.
And so, tapping into that a little bit more, so you mentioned that you did Emily's class and was facilitated at Bus Stop. So have you found yourself connecting more with the local Māori community as a result?
It's been great. Well, here I am. I've never done a podcast.
Yeah.
So this is fabulous.
Yes, it is.
And so I'm really proud to be here.
Oh, nice.
Part of a podcast. And I love it. So like I said, the networking is so important.
Yeah.
And what I love is that everyone's very welcoming and open, and no one makes a fuss of anyone.
Yeah.
If you've got any arrogance or do you know who I am? Because it's great. Everyone's on the same level.
Yeah.
But they're all so welcoming.
Yeah.
And the girls at KUMA are just, that they could turn you away if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But that's not in their nature.
No.
What I'm saying is they're just so lovely and genuine. It's genuine.
Yeah.
And all, because you couldn't keep that act up.
No, you can't.
So, no one's
You can't pretend like that for that long.
They're amazing.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's just been so welcoming, and have just just their meetings and things that they hold. Yeah, I was quite nervous at the start, of course, but I knew, like anything, the more you keep going, the more people you meet, you start connecting names with faces, and then eventually, I guess, you become just one of the many there.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
it's Tracy. She's back again.
Speak English. But of course, what I love about anything to do with Māori is that there's always food.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
very
there's always
clever.
food.
They connect everything
Always
with pie.
food. Yeah, you have to. Yeah. It's a rule. It's like a hard and fast rule.
It works. Because it's horrible, but that's why I show up. It's not just why I show up, but it really is a hook.
It's why a lot of us show up.
I know. Well, that's what I figured. Yeah, the Māori know the Māori. So, but I've loved it. I've really loved it. And the people that, like Brendan, I've just got to know.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic
what a lovely guy.
Yeah.
And it's great getting to know Karen Hathaway.
Yep.
She's just a force. And, of course, meeting Pearl. Pearl's the network queen.
Oh, yes.
The PDF queen and the network queen.
She's everywhere, our Pearl. I don't know how she does it. She pops up everywhere.
Yeah, doing good things. Oh, but everyone, honestly. So I've loved that. And
Great.
here I am. I
Fantastic.
wouldn't be otherwise.
Fantastic.
And, it's just... I just also want to say what also made me start this up. What I'm talking about is lessons with Emily, and then everything followed from there. Is again my parents' generation, and just hearing slurs all the time, and I don't know enough to say something back.
Yes.
Because when I talk back, I want my facts and I want to be able to correct them.
Yes.
So I can't because I don't know anything. There's so much to learn.
Yeah.
But the more I do learn, and that's through the children, that's what I learned through the children, was the history and the atrocities.
Yes.
But if you go on like that, then I'll really separate us even more.
I know.
So I need to dig deep and learn and gently say, actually, what we got taught in our generation, It's not the full story.
No, it's not the full story.
Without sounding, though,
Not
like
full story.
But you can't go in hard because no one will listen.
No.
It's got to be gentle.
You have to. You will.
Gently, though, because otherwise we're
you
just
come
at
across,
the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, you come across like an angry activist.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
But if you've got facts and actually and reteach, that's really important. So I was always not always, but I would hear slurs.
Oh, yeah.
And then I realised my children are hearing this.
Yeah, right.
And that's what was really getting to me, and in my house perhaps or somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that that's what drove me to do something, but it's also, it works.
Yeah, it works.
And I might have gone in a little bit angry.
You do. Because you get outraged.
Yeah.
Yeah, you listen to a couple of stories and you hear about what's actually the truth and what actually happened, and you start getting angry and outraged about it.
It's terrible.
Yeah. And then you think...
Because people don't know about that side of it.
No. And, of course, those of us who know the stories, we've learned to dampen that anger, and some of us have learned to dampen that outrage, and we just sort of end up living with it and try and find ways to collaborate and make it a meaningful way forward. But people who step into it for the first time, their outrage and anger sort of gets quite overwhelming, and then we have to go, hey, that's just what it is, so you need to find a way to...
We've got to move forward.
Yeah, we've got to move forward.
Don't forget it.
Yeah.
And teach everyone.
Yeah, be a lesson.
Story.
It's a lesson for us, and about how we can move forward. So
it has to be that. Yeah.
So I'm going to bring us back to the KUMA thing that you touched on. So this podcast, this is a project in collaboration with KUMA, the Southern Māori Business Network, and so I'd be interested to. For you to talk about your recent experiences with were you involved in the fashion event? You're a coordinator, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I helped again with Pearl, and Camilla rung again. Can't say no to that lovely persuasive voice.
Yeah, she's got a good way.
And because it's what I do. What I did, I hadn't done a fashion show for years, and I have to say, and I kept saying that was the easiest fashion show I've ever done. Because it was just nice and relaxed and in a cafe. It wasn't on a big stage with lights and, comp airs. Well, there was a comp air, but it was just lovely and relaxed, and it just worked and flowed. But also what I was so impressed about was the designers. The designers were phenomenal, and I didn't realise that any of them were here. And so it was great to bring all them together, or not just fashion designers, but the jewellery and the beautiful cloaks and, the variety, I guess.
Yeah.
And it worked. It was lovely to have it in the KUMA Business Week, is what you call it. And it was great to get off my bottom and do something different. And
was there anything that didn't quite go to plan, or was it all just kind of we'll just work it out as we go type thing?
Well, there might have been an element to that. We knew how it should have gone, and I thought it did. Maybe the weather, it could have been warmer weather, and then we could have had it outside, but it was nice to have it contained inside.
Yep.
I don't feel anything went wrong. It was a great start, a great first, and you can only build off that.
Absolutely. Is there a plan to do more of them?
Well, the master, Pearl, has big plans. I've seen, what looks like a planet. It's a circle with all these arrows and things. So, my brain's too full and busy to be that adventurous, but I'll be there for sure to help, and there's lots of talk to happen first.
Great, fantastic.
But it is exciting because there is a lot of talent in this area, and with Te Atamira, and I think it's also about just encouraging the young ones as they come through, and giving them a sense of worth, which is so important.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be the smartest in the class. There are so many other things in your world. It's finding your thing and sticking to it.
Yeah.
But it's opening up their mind, because they don't know necessarily what is their thing, but offer lots of wonderful Māori crafts, design, anything, everything.
And so you also attended the Māori Business Awards dinner, and you were a finalist for the Tohu Rangatira Whakahaere. I think it was the Leadership Award, is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Someone nominated me, so there I was.
Great.
And no, it was nice. It was look. Who wasn't nominated? Maybe.
No, I wasn't.
Well, I was flattered. I love to be part of all this.
Yeah.
And again, my joke to the lead up of the night was, well, you know, it's a competition. I found out who my other competitors were. I thought, but actually, what am I doing here? But it wasn't like that at all. I'm not being PC because you're recording this.
Yeah.
Because I'm not PC. If anyone who knows me will tell you, Tracy's not PC.
Yes.
It was just lovely to be in a room with these people, and everyone who won deserved it. Oh my goodness, they were phenomenal, incredible achievers that no one knows about.
Yeah.
Why are we reading about them?
Yes.
It's amazing what they do.
Yes.
Everyone.
Yes.
And the guy beside me, he won an award, and he looks less Māori than I do. And from Invercargill, and his business is essentially rubbish, you know, recycling rubbish.
Oh God! I thought you said. No. It is. It's recycling rubbish. But yeah, his business isn't rubbish. But it's a fantastic story how he started, and he won an award, and he just won the Southland Award. Anyway, what my point is, it was a room of wonderful people, and again, all your ego and all your whatever, leave it at the door. Everyone is all on a level. It doesn't matter who's winning awards, who's not. It's just such a great vibe. It was such a positive, inspiring evening. Fantastic.
I loved it. And I can't make this stuff up. This is not me.
Yeah,
you know?
right. Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't be fake if you wanted to. It's straight down the line. Yes. So would you have any advice for businesses that were thinking about, you know, being nominated or nominating themselves, or, you know, do you think like it's a good thing to go, oh no, I don't want to be any part of that kind of thing? What advice would you give to a Māori business, local Māori business that might want to be, you know, nominate themselves or not? Yeah,
well, why not? Because like I said, just being there and part of that and part of the events throughout the week was so inspiring. It really is. And you can only learn, and your networking is huge. It's such a word that's used so many times, but it is so important. Yeah. And you can only learn and grow. You're amongst all sorts of other startups, but also it's great to be amongst people who are wise and have been in their industry forever. It's great to cherry pick all these, you know, important tips. And look, I would do it. You don't need to be scared. There's no failure. And if you're invited to do something and you think you're not ready, how do you know you're not? You know, give it a go. Because also you are in a safe place. No one thinks of you as a failure. The failure would be you saying no because you're scared of what you don't know. Yeah. And what you don't know is always the fear. Yeah. But when you confront it, it's never as bad as what you thought. Of
course.
You know, and that's what holds a lot of people back, I guess. Yeah. Is I might fail or I might make a fool of myself, but not in this instance. No.
So, take that step into the unknown. You know.
And learn, network, listen.
And so you've spoken a little bit about KUMA and Carmela and how she's, you know, you've been in contact and she's helped you out. So how do you think KUMA could carry on helping other Māori entrepreneurs in this region? Just keep doing what they're doing, or do you think they have a good connection into the local community at the moment?
So I think they do with Māori, right? But I only heard of KUMA because I started up the te reo classes.
Yeah, right. Okay?
Otherwise, I wouldn't know what was going on in my own backyard. Yeah, right. I wouldn't know about any of you. Yeah. I've heard of Debbie from years ago because I had her 3 gorgeous boys in my confidence classes. Yeah. I heard of a couple of randoms because sometimes a brief would come in and we need Māori.
So, you need a Māori.
So then I'm making go find some Māori. I know that sounds horrible, but that's
no, the reality.
Otherwise I'm not interacting on a daily basis. Yeah. I don't know what's out there, and this whole experience has just opened up my mind and realised all these incredible people that are there. So one part of the fashion show, the little fashion show we did, and even I'm thinking the awards or anything, is to change everyone's perception of Māori and to make them realise what's here and to be more inclusive. So I understand it's Māori for Māori, and I get that. Yeah. But I think we need to open it up to everyone. Yeah. Even non-Māori, so that they learn and see and appreciate the positive side of what is happening. It's not the front page of the paper and all the negative things that you hear about. It's amazing what's going on here. And maybe is there a way to have a page in the Mountain Scene once a month to tell people what's going on? Everyone reads the Mountain Scene. Everyone wants to be in the Mountain Scene.
Good point.
Maybe something like that, so we're more prevalent in the community. Because otherwise you only know about it if you know about it.
That's right. If you're in the know with, you're part of the clique, so to speak.
There is that, yeah. So to show
feedback.
the community that what we're doing, like young Paris, what he does.
God, he does
everything
so much,
you do.
doesn't he? Yeah.
Julian, a script writer.
Yeah.
Hud's doing the same in his show, so everyone loved his show. But how long has he lived here?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe everyone does know Hud. I'm sure they do, for whatever reasons. But he did this amazing play.
Yep.
And by all accounts, it was well attended.
Yeah, it was
and
very
an incredible
well
subject.
received.
But
no, Hud's part of the furniture in this whole part of New Zealand. He's.
But he should be talked about. Or,
I know.
I don't know, he should be more prevalent, perhaps.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
All the amazing work Debbie does. And,
Debbie does so much. Yeah. So much.
But it's not as well known, perhaps, as it could be, or maybe it's just me and I'm living down my rabbit hole, and it is.
No, you are one of many in the community, and I'll be honest. Even I had a little bit of that myself because I'm not fully connected into the Māori community. I probably am now through my teaching Māori journey, but before that, I was similar. I didn't know a lot of local Māori in the community. I knew a few smatterings of people. I'd come along the way, but I wasn't fully in the community either until funny enough, it was the language that brought me into the local community as well. And now when you look at what everyone does, there's just so much going on in this community. Yeah. They wouldn't believe it, They say, there's no Maoris down in Queenstown.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't spot a Maori anywhere. Well, there's heaps of Māori here. We're not doing kapahaka on the main streets. That's all, We're doing our own things in the background. Yeah. So, I take your point about opening it up to a wider audience to let everyone else in or see what's going on. Yeah.
That's right, and change the narrative because, first it's been wonderful. Now we have, Te Reo Māori everywhere. It's on our road signs, and people don't like change. But you do it, and then they get used to it. They forgot that they didn't like it.
Yeah, I know. You're right.
But
it just becomes normal after a while.
It does. Yeah.
We're all singing the Māori national anthem now, but it was such an outrage the first time.
Yeah, and now wherever you go, whether it's the primary school, the high school, meetings, conferences. Everyone stands up and introduces themselves in Te Reo. It's the norm.
Yeah, it is the norm.
You have to do this now.
Yeah, everyone knows this thing called pepeha. Yeah. You're like everybody. So, and let's be honest, most people are shit scared of it, but...
Oh, well, I'm one. You get 2 lines out of me. I should know
2 lines
better.
is enough. No, it's enough.
To start from nothing, which was my case a couple of years ago. So it's a big ship to turn.
Yeah.
And you're always going to have your yays and your nays, but I think I wonder if it is that older generation, and it just became their narrative and it's human nature to belittle someone else to make yourself feel better.
It's just easier
and then,
to do that.
Yeah. So you've always done it.
Yeah.
People have always done it. But I'd like to think that also with social media, technology, it's opened our eyes more. We can see and communicate with a lot more. So that makes it easier, but at the same time it can also be, the strongest point can be the most negative as well, because you'll still see negative things. You
can't help it.
But
see, I've, in my adult life, by and large my experiences as being Māori have been mostly positive. There are times, especially when I lived in Christchurch, where it wasn't nice. First time I got called the N-word, that kind of thing. But what I'm finding now, especially in my older adult life, I suppose, is a lot of those negative experiences just aren't there anymore. And I seem to be, whether it's accidental or it's just a change, a shift maybe, I'm not sure, but I'm always surrounded by high-achieving Māori. It's just... there just seems to be more and more of us. I'm going to say us because I feel like I wouldn't call myself a raging success, but I would call myself a success in life. You know, I've achieved all the things that I've wanted to and above. So, I just find these days, especially when we like doing this podcast as an example, again, I'm meeting all these Māori people who are high achievers. They're not just like doing a kind of a good thing. You guys are high achievers. You're like really ticking some boxes. So, it's sad that the majority of the messaging out there for people who don't interact with Māori on a daily basis, their only messaging is negative. It's what they see off the news. But really, if they integrated themselves into any Māori communities, they'd see the opposite, I think. So, we've gone over time, which is fantastic.
Okay.
And so to finish off our chat, to start wrapping it up, I'm just going to ask you one quick fire question, and might take a little bit of time to think about, or maybe not for you. So if you could go back in time, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Interesting, because 18 was when I really started in this industry.
Right.
Look, to myself, okay. I think just to do more, get involved more. So whether it's learn something else, like go to university and learn a paper, or learn a language, or a martial art, like don't stop learning. Because it was kind of old school thinking, maybe you go to primary school, you go to high school, you get a job.
You follow that regular pattern and sit in a job for 50 years kind of thing. Yeah.
And you might think, it's too late. But it's like I'm just picked up Te Reo Māori now.
Yeah.
To do more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think I was already doing what I wanted to do. So. Yeah. And that gave me confidence. Yeah. And I was teaching it, so I kind of had to have it. And whatever. So I can't say anything along those lines, but maybe I could have branched out and tried something different. Yeah.
Fantastic. And so obviously, and a really important question to ask is how can people get in touch with you if they wanted to get in touch with you about your business? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, icanmodels.com. Or follow us on Instagram, ican_models. Just Google Ican Models Queenstown, and I'd like to think I would come up.
Yes, of course you come up. You come up pretty quickly just by putting Ican. I don't think that gets used anywhere else, does it? Was Ican your idea for a brand name?
Yes, I remember I was getting ready to leave my employment in Dunedin, and I was sitting in the sun on the windowsill. I'll never forget this, thinking, what can I call myself? What do I call myself? It would have to be short and positive and strong. And I quite liked, I can. It's a statement, and it's,
Love it. I always wondered where that came from.
Yeah, just my little brain came from there.
That's fantastic. And it's got that subliminal messaging to it, doesn't it? I can.
Yeah. It became, I say to everyone, you can borrow my business name for your mantra when you're giving birth. Just like, I can.
Well,
on that image.
Nō reira rā, e mihi atu nei ki a koe. Thank you so much for our chat today. So to you, e te iwi, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, any questions of Tracy, pop them in the chat box below here. Remember to like the page and share it, and we'll catch you on the next episode of The Chew. Mā te wā.